Brian Reynolds has been playing bridge for over 30 years. In fact, the woman he wanted to date, his now wife, told him he had to learn to play bridge before she would date him. So fast forward 30 years, and Samantha and Brian have built the Bridge Teachers, which is a website that teaches people of all ages and all skill levels to play bridge. I wanted to have him on the show because he gave me this crazy statistic that I just didn't believe until I looked it up. And the truth is, playing bridge can help with cognitive decline and social isolation, which are both linked to dementia. So I wanted to have Brian on the show to talk about why he loves bridge so much, what he has seen in the people he has worked with, and hopefully encourage you to get some cards. Let's play bridge. Welcome to the show, Brian Reynolds. In today's world, older adults face major transitions like downsizing, relocating, or modifying their homes to age in place, all while embracing life after these changes. As a senior home advisor and seasoned realtor, Robin McCoy guides these decisions with care and thoughtful planning, helping create a vibrant future. Welcome to Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60 with me, your host, Robin McCoy. Hey, Brian, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I'm really excited to talk about bridge.
Well, I'm super excited to be here, and I love talking about bridge for sure. It's my favorite game of all time, and I've been playing it most of my life, and excited to share it with you.
So this is for those that are listening and may not know what bridge is. This is an old card game that my mother, who is now 88, just to put some time reference on this, they went from house to house every week, a couple of times a week, and they had 4 to 8 women, and you'd have lunch, and you'd play bridge. And it was the bunco of the day, I guess.
Yeah, and I would say that there's still that going on. It's a lot less than it used to be. Even before COVID, I would say that social bridge probably was the most prevalent, more prevalent than tournament bridge, but it's definitely not something that is part of the fabric of our life the way it used to be.
Yeah.
So
tell me, let's go back, and and people may be wondering why Robin's talking about bridge, but we do have there's a point behind this whole thing. Because I have to share that when I got the email, introducing me to you and putting, and about being on the show, I'm like, where is this going to go? And then we had a conversation, and I just thought it was phenomenal. And as we talk about how do we stay healthy, both mentally and physically, as we age and we're living longer, and how do we make sure that not just our physical abilities are there, but our mental abilities are there. And we landed on the game of bridge. So tell us how you discovered it and kind of, what this looks like for you.
Sure. I've been playing games my whole life. Bridge and I never connected. I would see people playing bridge at tournaments as at chess tournaments, because there's a lot of community centers. I never got exposed to the game. And then when I met my wife, Samantha, in college, we were friends for about a year, and then I said I wanted to go out with you. I want to go out with you. And she said, okay, but you have to learn to play bridge first. Her family had played, kitchen table bridge, social bridge for years, but had never taught her, which I think is such a disservice to anyone. The youngest I've ever taught was 6 years old. And the only reason I haven't taught younger is I haven't had the opportunity. 6 was the youngest I've ever had the opportunity to teach. And in my experience, kids take to it just like they take to any other game. Just like there are chess prodigies, there are bridge prodigies. Sure. So they taught her the rules right before she left for college. I think it was like a couple days before they kicked her out. They're like, all right, see ya.
And here's what you will take on into your life. Love
Yes,
ya.
they have
Bye.
they had no idea the can of worms they were opening.
That's hilarious.
So she didn't have a partner. Bridge is a partnership game, which is one reason why I love it more than most games. It's a social interaction, and she didn't have anybody to learn the game with, and she didn't have anyone to play the game with. And here I was saying, I want to date you.
And this is one thing that I do often. So if we're going to get along,
Right, something I want to be part of my life. Samantha and I met over games. Like we became familiar with each other's love for games very quickly in just being friends. And she's very good at knowing what she wants and building a way towards it. So she says to me, if you want to go out with me, you have to learn to play bridge. And my exact thoughts was, well, how hard can that be?
that seems like a pretty low threshold to enter into your dating life.
Right.
The bar's pretty low, right?
I thought I've played games, I've played card games. This will take me a day. Easy. And something happened that has formed the entire way that we approach teaching bridge. It was exceptionally difficult to learn to play bridge. I don't feel that learning to play is difficult. I feel that the circumstances of learning to play are difficult. Okay. There was no internet. I didn't have an email account yet. I checked out a book on bridge at the library, which was aimed for people who already knew how to play and were pretty good. It was incomprehensible to me. I liken it to if you wanted to learn French by, trying to read Dumas in the original French. It just that's not how you learn. Yeah, it's not how you learn. So Samantha and I struggled for years. Taught our friends, tried to figure out the game, didn't know what we were doing, extremely frustrating. Probably would have never been a part of our lives. And then I fractured my leg in a sword fight on a national tour of Romeo and Juliet. And they flew me back home, the production company, and I was in rehab for 6 months and I couldn't walk. And my leg was up on a chair, and the internet had just started to happen, and there was a website called OK Bridge, which was a subscription service. So you paid and you could go online and play. What's really nice nowadays is there's the biggest online website, the one I recommend, and the biggest is called bridgebase.com, BASE. It's free. Completely free. You can make an account for free. I don't get a referral, so you don't have to worry about trying to get my referral link and I don't get a kickback from them.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should. And the only thing you pay for is there's some learning lessons you pay for, and you also have to pay if you're playing in ACBL sanctioned tournaments, which is the overarching, U.S. governing body. But if you just want to play for free, you can go online and play for free right now for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I signed up on OK Bridge. We as a family discussed if we could afford the monthly subscription.
And you were out of work from your acting gig for a while, being immobilized.
That was a struggle. Not gonna lie. I went from working 3 jobs to being on a national tour to not being able to move. So
that'd be tough. That's tough.
definitely a budgeting thing. And this again ties into how I approach bridge. One of the reasons I love bridge as a game is because it's extremely accessible in a lot of ways. Budget is
Yeah.
one of them. If you don't have an entertainment budget, or your entertainment budget every month is extremely low, you can play bridge all day every day, and it's essentially free, which I love.
Well, and that's kind of where you and Samantha kind of came together on this, right? I mean, you were laid up, you needed to have something to do, and
Hmm.
it was already a pain point that you couldn't you're trying to teach people and play and struggle and this, and how do we share this love of this game and make it accessible to people?
Right. Right. And I didn't love bridge at that point.
Okay, this is you're still trying to date your wife. Okay.
Well, we were engaged at that point. We were
Okay.
we were about we were about
You put in enough effort to learn that she said, okay.
yeah, we were about 9 months away from our wedding,
Okay.
which was interesting. Is like, I hope I can walk down the aisle. Um, and but like you said, I had nothing to do. I was sitting at home, couldn't work. I was on disability at that time, workman's comp, and not on tour, which is, the thing I'd worked so hard to get on this national tour, and it was, at that point, it was the biggest highlight of my acting career. And I was depressed. I mean, there's nothing else to say. I was depressed. And again, Samantha is so innovative about, she sees a problem and she goes to solve the problem. And I think that's why bridge speaks to her, because bridge is ultimately a game of figuring out what your problem is and then solving it. And so she found a bridge club, which was, I think it was about 20 minutes away from us by car, that was giving free bridge lessons. And the operative word there was free.
Yes.
And I think it was a 6, or maybe it was an eight little lesson pack. And five of us went. 4 or 5 of us went. No, 5 of us went. And we took the little lesson. I thought, oh, that's interesting. I learned a thing or two. And then it was short, and we wanted to play, especially because, I don't want to get back in the car after 30 minutes. So we're playing, and this very nice older gentleman comes over and says, "Can I watch you play?" And we all said, "We're brand new. We don't know what we're doing. We're gonna embarrass ourselves." He says, "No, that's fine. I don't mind. And I was actually sitting out, because it's a 4-person game if we had 5 people, and I was actually sitting over Samantha's right shoulder, watching her play, and her partner leads the ace of clubs. This is going to get a little technical, but there's a point. Partner leads the ace of clubs, dummies come down, Samantha plays the 2 of clubs, and this gentleman leans forward and says, no, don't do that. And she said, "Well, but my partner's already winning the trick. Why would I play a high card?" He says, "No, play the 8 of clubs instead of the 2 of clubs, and that will tell your partner you like the suit." And it was like a bomb went off in my skull. Because suddenly I understood that there was so much more to the game than I was accessing. And I started, we started taking lessons. We actually took lessons from that gentleman's wife. We started learning how the game is actually played. We started having a structure to our language, because bridge is a combination of learning a language and playing chess. That's basically what
Because you're trying to communicate with your partner without
Yes.
speaking, right?
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
you get it. That's the most I know about it. I don't know a whole lot.
Well,
I haven't gone down the road, but it's trying to communicate and think. And this is where this is ultimately going to go. Is where you're having to think what somebody else wants you to know without
right.
words.
Right. Yes. You're learning a new language.
Yeah.
You're telling your partner, "I'm looking at 13 cards, and these are some features of my hand. These are some items of interest, information about my hand. And that dialogue is passing back and forth between you and your partner. And at the same time, your opponents are doing the same thing. So a lot of times it can become a shouting match, which is super fun. I don't mean verbally, although
Yeah.
I have been present for those.
And it was a throwdown at the bridge tournament.
Oh, I've seen a few. I've seen a few. I It's really funny because you're not allowed to talk, so you're sitting there in silence, and
And daggers are.
you can feel it boiling over. Yeah, you can. It's it's always funny because people, when you learn to speak another language, you get to hear the inner dialogue, or the dialogue that other people can't hear. Samantha and I tell each other jokes in bridge. We crack each other up. We used to work out together, and our personal trainer, we'd be talking bridge the whole time, and our personal trainer would just be lost, and all of a sudden one of us would burst out laughing. He's like, "What did you guys just say?" It's like I needed about 3 years to get you to understand that joke. But yes, you're learning a language, and what's beautiful about bridge is that it's individual to that partnership. That language. Now there are standards. There are certain things that are not universal but are common between partnerships. But at the same time, just like you talk differently to, say, your boss than you do to your best friend, you learn how to communicate most effectively with that partner, or you don't succeed. I mean, there are plenty of people who just, and that's why I say that bridge has made me a much better husband. I said that the other day to someone, and they didn't get mad, but they just basically called me a liar to my face.
No card game is going to make you a better husband.
There's no way that what
There's
you're
no
saying
way.
is that's not true. And for me, bridge is a game of mistakes. It's what we call an imperfect information game, because you don't have access to all of the information that's available. You can two hands on every time you play a hand of bridge. Two hands are hidden from you, so you're extrapolating on information. Well, you're going to make mistakes. When you have imperfect information, you're going to make mistakes. And when your partner makes a mistake, it's an amazing opportunity for you to show up for them. It's easy to get upset. Oh, we got a bad result. Oh, no, we're losing. But remembering that your partner actually feels worse than you do. Because
they're the ones that made the error.
Yeah, they have everything you've got with regret heaped on top of it.
Yeah.
So if you can set aside your anger and focus on what's important is, okay, how do we fix this? How do we move past it? How do I support my partner in this moment? And I think that translates exceptionally well into any relationship, business, professional, romantic. So bridge has definitely made me a better husband in a lot of ways. Just learning how somebody else talks, understanding that my words coming out of my mouth may not be interpreted the same way that my wife interprets them, and
right.
and so we're having a misunderstanding. Okay, well, how do we solve it? So,
well, and one of the things about this, and you had a statistic, and it goes along with trying to understand how other people think and how you're trying to, understand that and learn a language, and really it's keeping those synapses firing, right? It's creating those pathways in the brain, which we know with age can deteriorate. And
right.
You gave me a statistic. You gave me a statistic that blew me out of the water, and I went and looked it up. And I'm like, really? And bridge as a game, and I'm not talking about card games, I mean bridge specifically, can mitigate, slow down, I'm not going to say eliminate, but cognitive decline in the human brain.
Yes, the studies that I've seen, and I think I first saw a study on this like back in the early 2000s, it's somewhere around 75% of bridge players experience an absence or a lessening of Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia.
That's 75%. That's incredible. I mean, that's a huge number. That's why I had to go look it up. I'm like, that's a big number.
That is a big number. That is a big
That's a big
number.
That's a lot of talk for a card game, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but we also know that people with brain, and brain changes can be minimal or they can be extreme, right?
Sure.
And we don't know until we get there what line we're in.
Right. Right.
We don't know. So the best thing we can do is before we go get in a line is keep those synapses firing. The brain needs new neural pathways to continue to function well.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just how the brain operates. And so by learning this game and playing this game, it's getting those neural pathways going, and you're continuing to learn something and do something. And the isolation part of it is huge as well. I don't want to forget to talk about how isolation is damaging.
Totally. I experienced isolation at a very young age, sitting at my desk. Samantha was off to work. All of our roommates were off to work, and I'd be alone for 8, 10, 12 hours a day with ostensibly nothing to do. And that, to me, is crippling. I think a lot of people, they prefer a life of isolation, which is wonderful. That they should access that. I am not one of those people. And I feel that unless we give people opportunities to be social, unless we lower the entry bar for being social as low as we can go, people won't know how social they want to be. And I don't have a lot of science about this at my fingertips, but they've shown that, the more social we are, the healthier and happier we are.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean like going out to parties. It just means connection with other human beings.
It's community.
I think that's so critical. And bridge builds a community very quickly, even without going to the bridge club. I'm a big fan of the bridge club. I'm a big fan of tournaments. Obviously, I love playing in those. But even just playing online, because you're having to cooperate with another human being to achieve success, you're still having that connection, that social connection. Even if somebody, you've never seen them before, you don't know what they look like behind the screen, and you'll never see them again, there's still this shared moment of effort and experience.
When it's conversation, it's looking for the common goal, those sorts of things that I think, and you mentioned some people like to be alone, but they're not necessarily just sitting in it's not like you, who is not used to it. Now I don't have anything to do. I'm not going to sit here and watch TV all day. This is before the internet was huge. I mean, where you could just sit and scroll Facebook for, hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
So, but, and I think people, and there's people today that love online gaming and all of that, and that because they don't like to be with other people necessarily, but they like the community of that game. And that's what you and Samantha have built, is an online game platform that teaches people how to play bridge and gives them the opportunity to play.
Absolutely. We have been passionate about trying to expose people to the game of bridge. I'm not a big fan of this idea that everyone is going to like bridge. I don't think, in my experience, it's about 25%. If you give bridge a chance, like a full, like I'm gonna try this for a month, I'm gonna learn a little bit, I'm gonna play pretty consistently for about a month and a half maybe, you'll figure out very, very quickly if bridge is for you. And it might not be. I have a friend we won a little, side pairs at a national event once, and she can't stand bridge. She loves photography. So,
Okay.
so she goes out with her camera.
She's gonna go do that.
Yeah. She just did a 70-mile walk through Spain with her camera.
I did that. I
Yeah,
did the
with the
Camino
little.
de Santiago.
Yeah, she just
Yeah.
did it with the little passport book, and
Yep, I did
oh,
it in
she had a blast.
2019.
She's gonna do Scotland later this year.
It's an amazing experience.
Yeah,
That's another conversation. We won't.
yeah. Her Instagram was crazy during
Yeah,
that time
I bet.
for sure.
I bet. Are you 62 or older and considering buying a home? It's important to explore all the opportunities available to you. I want to introduce you to Alicia Dutton with Mutual of Omaha Reverse Mortgage. Since 2013, Alicia has been dedicated to helping baby boomers unlock the benefits of reverse mortgages and reverse for purchase programs. Whether you are looking to stay in your current home or right size into a new one, Alicia provides personalized attention to meet your unique needs and timeline. She is a trusted resource for financial advisors, realtors, and loan officers, and has been a guest on this podcast. She is ensuring you are educated and empowered every step of the way. Discover the possibilities with Alicia Dutton today.
So, people who try it and like it, it's an amazing game for so many reasons. And what Samantha and I want to do as teachers and just as ambassadors of the game is make the initial challenge of learning the game as little as possible. Again, I was talking to this person and I said, our number one rule is have fun. And he said, well, that's cliche. And I said,
This guy sounds charming. Let me just say.
he was. I'm picking two bad spots.
Okay.
He's a very the reason I enjoyed talking to him is because he's very charming. But I like when people push back on something I have to say, because then I can double check and see, is this really true?
Sure.
And we want bridge to exercise our brain. When I was a kid, there was this idea that you got the brain you got, good luck, and that's what you're going to do. Yeah. And we know now that in a lot of ways the brain's a muscle. So just like you put your arm under load, you get a bigger arm. If you put your brain under healthy stress, your brain grows to adapt to that stress. And bridge is very challenging as a game, so Samantha and I want to make it very easy to learn it and have fun. And one of the many reasons we want people to have fun is because our brains actually build neural pathways quicker when we're having fun, because our brain is risk averse. So if you're not enjoying yourself, your brain goes, well, I'm checked out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's why your brain tells you, don't touch the stove after you realize it's hot. That's why the brain may, for some people, tell them, no, you don't want to get up and talk in front of all those people. Are you crazy? They're going to say things about you. The brain does not want you to get harmed, be afraid, any of it. So it protects you.
Correct. So I am looking for ways for bridge to not be harmful.
Yeah.
And that may sound hyperbolic, but I think trying something and just hitting a brick wall and feeling lost and feeling like you're never going to get it, I think that's exceptionally harmful, emotionally harmful, mentally harmful. So yes, Samantha and I have a website called thebridgeteachers.com. It is a video library where Samantha takes from the beginning, this is how you play bridge. I think her first video is 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Learn how to play bridge in 2 minutes, 2 seconds. And that's the basic rules.
Yeah.
So you know what you're doing. And then it's, okay, I want to learn the language and I want to learn how to play the cards. Because bridge is a two-phase game. That's the other thing, that when people come to bridge, if they don't understand there's two phases to the game and they have very different feelings to them. The first phase is the bidding phase, where we're talking about the language, we're talking about communicating with your partner, your shared resources, your combined resources. And then there's the play of the cards phase, which happens immediately after. And that's more chess-like. You're making moves trying to maximize the number of tricks you take. So if you don't look at it as I'm learning two different skill sets to play this game, you can get lost very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Samantha breaks down bidding. So you have a basic fundamental language that will serve you in 95% of the cases that you come up against. She obviously goes on beyond that in her video series, but
Sure.
we just want people to feel someone asked me if I want to be good at bridge, how long is that going to take me? I get that question a lot, actually. How long is it going to take me? To which my response is, I don't know what you mean by good. The greatest player who ever lived, who's still alive, just saw him in November, Bob Hammond. He's won, I can't count how many world and national championships he's won. He said, I'm mediocre at bridge. Everyone else is terrible.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, so there's your baseline. The best guy in the land is mediocre, in his opinion.
I find that freeing. One thing I didn't like about chess is just chess can be a game of perfection. Chess can be a game where the smallest mistake can, just lead to your demise.
Yeah.
And bridge is not that. And I think making mistakes, overcoming them, is much more relatable to the human condition than be perfect or you get destroyed.
Right.
So
now, do you feel like people that have never played bridge before, never, and and they're not, maybe they are older, maybe they're in their 70s, and they're looking for something to do, right? And maybe get a little, social. They can't get out or don't choose to get out.
Sure.
Is this something that they can learn and do online and have fun with it?
Absolutely. There's no such thing as card sense. I have been railing against this notion of, well, I just don't have card sense. I've been shouting from the rooftops for 30 years now. There's no such thing. Okay. Bridge is a game of seeing a situation, understanding how that situation works, and then seeing a similar situation down the road. I was at the airport with a friend of mine who does not play bridge, and they said to me, you talk about bridge as puzzles, because bridge is just a series of puzzles that you're solving. And they said, teach me a bridge puzzle. I don't want to learn bridge. Just teach me a single puzzle. I'm like, okay. So I laid out a bridge puzzle for him, and it took him about 15 minutes to solve it. And they said, oh, that's cool. I like that. How often does that come up? And I said, every hand, basically. So if you know how to solve that puzzle, it's almost like having a set of keys, right? Like the old school huge ring of keys. And you're just, here's the lock in front of me. Oh, I know this lock. And you just search through your ring of keys and you insert and you open the door. So when it comes to learning bridge, you're looking to do two things. You're learning to build a basic language that you can communicate with partners with. And then you're learning the little puzzles. And by the way, the puzzles always have the exact same solution. So once you know the answer,
the same key opens that lock every time.
Yeah, there's never a situation where, oh, all of a sudden you have to do something completely different. It's the same.
That's
and
cool.
which, So I feel Samantha and I have specialized since we first started teaching 25 years ago. We've specialized in people who've never touched a deck of cards before in their life. And I have yet to meet a single person who couldn't learn bridge.
That's some big talk too.
Yeah. I will happily back that up with anyone who wants to come drop
Come
in the
challenge you.
comments. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, I just think, as we get older and, well, and even if you're not, but I mean, well, we hope we all do, but, to have, I mean, I think COVID did a number on a lot of people. And, getting, and it's taken this long for some people to get back out into social situations, right? They got used to being by themselves and watching TV and reading books, right? They just got used to that.
Hmm.
And so I think by finding something that you can learn, that's a game, that's fun, then it brings that socialization together. And when you are, maybe you move to a new place, right? You move to a new city, jobs take you to new places. It's like if you're a tennis player or a pickleball player or a soccer player. Every kid you go somewhere. I mean, our kid would say, "Can I go play soccer with them?" Because he knew how to play soccer, and he'd just go run out with a bunch of kids in a park and go play soccer. So it's the same thing, right? I know how to play bridge. I need to find people in Dallas or wherever you are that play bridge, and I'm going to go do that.
Absolutely. Prior, actually, the day they shut down Broadway on March 13th, 2020, I was actually on a trip to New York. I was supposed to be in New York for 4 days and then in London for 8 days. And I literally had reached out to a bridge club in London saying, I want to come these days and play. Do you have a partner for me? Because Samantha wasn't on that trip. And the number of times where I've just randomly started playing bridge throughout my life. I was on a cruise, not a bridge cruise. Those are amazing. I've been on bridge cruises. They're fantastic. Highly recommend if you like cruises and you like bridge. There's
And
a woman.
that's just the utopia for you then,
Yeah,
isn't it?
there's a woman named Roberta Salub. She and her husband run a bridge cruise service. I haven't talked to them since COVID, so I hope they're still there. But their bridge cruises are amazing. Again, I don't make a kickback from Roberta. She's just amazing. I really like her a lot. Um, but not a bridge cruise. We were cruising around Tahiti, and I'm walking by a table of people who are playing bridge, and I kind of just like do this and I keep walking. And they say, "Oh, do you play bridge? Do you play bridge?"
So you
And
guys identify yourselves,
yeah.
pretty quickly.
And I said, yeah. And they said, "Well, our fourth is leaving. Can you play for like an hour?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, sure. I'll sit down." And they sat down and they said, "Have you played before?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've played a little bit." And they're like, "Oh, great." And we played for an hour, and it was super fun. And
That's awesome.
yeah, there's no place in the world that you can go where you can't play bridge unless you don't have an internet connection. There's no one else around, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're on a hike through Spain, although she had internet service, so you could
Yes,
stop.
you could stop and play bridge.
You could hike your
on-
12 miles or 15 miles, whatever it is, and then at night when you're soaking your feet.
feet exactly, and having your evening, the olives and bread are amazing in Spain. That's all I can tell
love
you.
Spain.
They're
I
amazing.
can't wait to go back. I'm just so in love with Spain.
Well, I just think this is, it's something I had never even thought of. You think about, can we keep our brains active, and it's crossword puzzles and word searches and reading books and those things. And because you always just think you have to have somebody else there to play cards with, and they
Right.
have to know the same game you do,
Right.
and, all these things. But now I think, with how far, even just what you and Samantha have built is learning how to do it, and then maybe finding somebody else that's at the same stage you are, so you can learn together.
Yes. I obviously our goal is to have bridge make a resurgence across all generations, but especially people who are retiring or are retired.
Yeah.
I think it's such a healthy game for them. I think there's a huge difference, and I think there's a reason why you see neurological. Again, I'm not a neuroscientist,
Yeah.
but I've studied this quite a bit. I'm not a medical professional, but I believe that there is an increased stress load on the muscle you're working when it comes to bridge that you don't necessarily get from other forms of mental stimulation, whether that's reading or what have you. And I think that is why you see such dramatic difference in neurological health for people who play bridge consistently versus people who don't. So I would love to see bridge make this huge resurgence. And one of the reasons why is that for all of the ways it was difficult to learn bridge, the one way I got extremely lucky is that my lifetime bridge partner happened to be the person that I also ended up marrying.
Right.
Why she chose me, the world will never know. I married so high above my pay grade, it's not even funny.
You're the
But
only one that got all the way through the gauntlet, and when she said you got to learn to pay bridge, you're the only one that maybe
I mean,
said I accept that
if that was
challenge.
enough, she needed to keep her standards way higher. I gotta tell you, like, my wife
Funny.
is one of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life,
Oh, that's
and
funny.
she is, I mean, creative, passionate. I mean, we could do a whole podcast just on how awesome Samantha is. I'll talk about her all day, which she hates. She's gonna hate this part of the podcast. She's gonna like, why couldn't they edit that out?
Because I love it when people talk so highly of their partners. That's why. So that always gets left in. Always.
Well, good, good. Because, Samantha and I were part of a documentary. I think it came out in 2018 or 2019 called The Kids Table. You can find it online.
Okay.
There's some teasers and stuff on YouTube. And what it was four millennials wanted to learn to play bridge, and we were their bridge coaches. And Samantha did 80-90% of the work. I did some logistical work. I helped out here and there. I played with them when they needed a partner. But she did 90% of the work. But then you watch the documentary, and Samantha is the quiet, reserved, very cerebral person, which just doesn't look good on film.
Yeah.
And I'm the
Yeah.
loud, obnoxious guy who will say the controversial thing. And so I have had all this screen time. You'd think I was the star of the show. And and so I tell people, I say, I got a lot of camera time. That doesn't mean I did any.
That.
Like
Yeah.
Samantha did so much work, and
Yeah.
it's the same thing actually with our website. Is that she is so busy with creating content and interacting with subscribers and hearing what's working for them and what's not working for them and changing how she's presenting the material. And I get to come on podcasts and talk about how awesome Bridge is.
That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. Well, so I mean, and that's something that I want to make sure that and we'll put it in the show notes and everything, but I want to make sure everybody knows where to go find you guys, so that they can start going down this rabbit trail that is apparently you know quite the bunny
Yeah.
trail to go
Oh
down.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Once you get past that first step, it's a long. I I've been playing bridge both professionally and for fun for 30 years. Or well, I've been playing professionally for about 25 years, but I've been playing bridge for fun for almost 30. And if I have free time and there's a bridge tournament, Samantha and I'll go. We'll take our day off and we'll busman's holiday. Uh,
That's cool,
yes,
though. I mean, I think that's, it's, and I would say that finding something like bridge, we talked about how it helps the brain. However, it doesn't take physical, right? You don't have to be able to walk or stand or have any particular arm strength or upper body strength or any of those things to be involved and be, doing this activity.
yeah, exactly. I just actually filmed a video. We're going to be posting it, I think, on YouTube. It's going to be free. We're not going to put it behind a paywall. Uh, about how you can play bridge using only your voice. So if you
Wow.
can't
And
if you
that
can't
opens
use a
all kinds of
mouse,
doors, right? All
right?
kinds of doors that opens.
You can't use a mouse, you've got some sort of physical disability, could be temporary, like my leg, could be something that you're struggling with, whatever. You can actually play bridge using nothing but your voice. And I lead you through the steps to do it, and I show you me playing bridge using nothing but my voice. So again, how can I make bridge more accessible for people?
That's amazing.
So that's going to be on our YouTube channel, I'm fairly certain. Our YouTube channel is just the Bridge Teachers, and then we also have Instagram, of course, and then our website is thebridgeteachers.com. You can always email us there as well. We love hearing from people, so please reach out.
I love it. I hope you see, the 5 or 10 people that watch this. I hope all 10 of them.
Well, 2.5 of them will like it. We'll have to split one of them
there
down
you
the
go.
middle.
That's right.
Well,
That's
I
right.
have a question for you, though, which is,
Yes.
are you going to try bridge?
I am. I am.
Oh, amazing.
We've had 2 conversations now. I'm going to go to your website,
Oh, credible.
and I am going to just see, because I know zero about it. I'm not a big card player.
Great.
When I was in college, it was kind of spades and hearts and those
Sure.
sorts of things.
Yeah.
And, my roommate would make me play with them, and then he'd yell at me when I did something wrong, so I would leave.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm like, fine, I don't need to be doing this crap.
Yeah.
If you're
He
gonna
obviously-
holler at
yeah,
me, I'm out of
yeah.
here.
I'm not putting up with this garbage.
I'm not putting up with this. So I have never been a big card player. However, I want to see what this is all about. And if I can do it a little bit, even just to help stimulate my mom. Now, my mom is a big reader. People that watch this show know she is 88 years old. She became bedridden in 2023. And thank God she loves to read, because that's what keeps her brain going, right?
Love it.
Otherwise, I don't know where we would be.
Love it.
So I'm hoping that I can figure out enough that maybe, we can just do something, that
You totally
maybe we
can.
And at least we can, where she's a little ahead of me, because at least seems she can remember everything that happened to her 40 years ago, more so than 4 minutes ago. So she should be able to get right back into this pretty quick.
That's awesome. Well, I hope you'll reach out and let us know how it's going.
I will.
We would love to, help. And this isn't just because I'm on your podcast. We really like to interact with our subscribers, because we don't want it to just be, you're paying us every month, you're watching the videos, and then, okay, thanks for your money. We really do see ourselves as ambassadors of the game. So I hope if you hit, and also if you hit a snag, selfishly, if you hit a snag and you're like, okay, I don't understand this, that gives us information on how we can make it better for everyone.
Because
So
I'm like, you're looking at somebody who literally knows nothing about the game.
great that you're our demo. You're our demo.
0-0. I've heard of it. That is all that I know more about it now after talking with you, talking about the bid phase and the play phase than I did 30 minutes ago when we sat down here. So
yeah. And I would say that if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, I don't even know if I want to I like bridge, I would say come by our YouTube channel. Samantha's got some stuff there. A lot of it is sort of presupposes that you at least know the rules of the game. It's like a supplement to the video library, but we do have stuff on there about these are the rules. Like this, you have to do this. You're not allowed to do that. Like, the analogy I always use is in basketball, you're not allowed to pick up the ball and run with it. You got to dribble it, right? So we teach you the rules. You got to dribble the ball. So, but yeah, the YouTube channel's great. Yeah.
Well, like I said, we're going to put all your information out there. So I hope, 2.5 people will love it and and jump on board.
Yes.
And share the, it's not often you find someone with a passion for something like you have for this game. There's people that get all crazy. My son works at a fitness center, and people get all crazy on the pickleball. and they get really mad, and sometimes they have to call the police and remove people because of the pickleball.
Wow.
Because they get so wound up about it. But this kind of passion for a game that makes you feel good, it makes you happy. If you are in a place, you travel a lot for work, and like you said, you call a bridge club and ask if they've got a partner for you.
Totally. And
you
every
can go
bridge
play.
club will be so happy because I tell you what, if they don't have a partner, I bet you dollars to donuts. If they don't have a partner for you, you're going to play with the owner. You're going to play with the owner of the bridge club.
Whoever, the guy that's opening the door is the guy somebody's going to sit down and play with you.
I have never actually, when I first moved to Los Angeles, and Samantha and I would go to the bridge club all the time. And they offered me like a part-time job, and I would be doing all these things in the office, and then they'd come in around game time and they're like, go sit north at table 14. I'm like, okay. And I'd go sit down. I'd play with someone completely random, didn't know nothing about them. You learn.
How fun is that?
It's such a blast. It's such a blast. There were definitely some days. I think it can be a lot like dating. There are definitely some days where you're like, well, this date is not going to go well.
And you know early, and you cut it short.
Gosh, I wish I could have cut it short. That would have been great. What an option.
That's funny.
I'm going to go.
Not like me. If you're going to yell at me, I'm leaving. I'm not doing this.
Oh, I tell you.
That's hilarious. All right. Well, Brian, thank you so much for spending the time with me. This has been so fun, and I will keep you posted on my bridge game.
Please. I would love that.
All right. And thank you, too, for tuning in to another episode of Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60. Make sure you go and check out this bridge game that, maybe your mother or your grandmother played and talked about. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on Embracing Life After 60. Thank you for tuning in to Embracing Life After 60 with me, Robin McCoy. This podcast is produced by Jen Sariano with special thanks to the amazing team at Relax, I Got This. You can find more episodes on YouTube and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, follow, and share to help us spread the message. Until next time, keep embracing life to the full.